True crime tourism. It is a term that a lot of true crime fans absolutely hate, but a pastime that is actually gaining in popularity. Like everything, there are different meanings to the phrase. Some people visit the scenes of crimes to learn about police investigations and add to their own understanding of a case, while others seem to be more about getting likes on social media. And there's a lot of those. We've seen it firsthand in Moscow, Idaho. This new exclusive video shot over the weekend shows multiple people stopping at the King Road house for a photo. You see them there. It's one of the reasons the University of Idaho president says he plans to demolish the house. But it's not just the crime scene that these true crime fanatics are obsessed with. Some are also obsessed with the man who is accused of committing these 4 murders. Yep, this is very, very weird and can be hard to understand, but Bryan Kohberger actually has groupies, as sick as that sound. Facebook pages with names like Justice for Bryan Kohberger. They've got thousands of followers. And just last week, a Reddit thread of Kohberger supporters called Brynation was banned from the site. Thank goodness. So what makes people so infatuated with alleged killers and in some cases convicted killers? I'm joined by the guy who understands all of this, Dr. Scott Bonn. He is a criminologist and the author of the best-selling book, Why We Love Serial Killers, The Curious Appeal of the World's Most Savage Murderers. His podcast is called Killing Hour with Doc Bonn. Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Brown. So first of all, I think there's a distinction here. I've been outside a lot of crime scenes where people will drive by and maybe put the window down and take a picture and they've seen it on the news. And then you've just got crime junkies, which I've got family members and friends that are into true crime. And that seems like one thing. But then you've got this other group that falls in love with some of these serial killers. How does that happen?
Well, that's a great question, and you're right. It really is a spectrum. I mean, on the one hand, there's healthy curiosity, but then on the other hand, it can also become an obsession. And this is not a new phenomenon. In fact, there have been cases such as Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, back in the 1980s. He actually married one of his groupies. And of course, Charles Manson and Ted Bundy and others had legions of groupies. So, why does this happen? Well, I think there's a couple of things at work here. Technology is one of them, and you mentioned that. There are those individuals who I think are seeking their own 15 minutes of fame by injecting themselves into the investigation, into the case, and they become almost like demi-celebrities in their own right. You have other individuals that I would say are lacking something in self-esteem or an emotional deficit where they feel that they can fill up this hole somehow inside of them by vicariously associating with these types of individuals. And that really gets to the groupie phenomenon. And with the female groupies, with the male perpetrators, I like to call that the bad boy syndrome. And what I mean by that is, he may be a bad boy, but he's my bad boy. I'm the only one who understands him. We're soulmates. I get him. No one else does. And so once again, that gives a person, the groupie, self-esteem, makes her very special, so that she becomes fulfilled. That's something that's missing in her. And these individuals, do become sort of demi-celebrities.
I remember the first time I saw this, Dr. Bonn, was in Parkland with the Parkland massacre, that awful school shooting. And the suspect there, we requested through a public records request all of his mail, and he was getting all of this mail. And some of it was interesting. It was people sort of trying to understand his frame of mind, which I could sort of understand. But then there were these women sending him sexual messages, almost like there was a very strange attraction to this killer. And I could never wrap my mind around it. But I guess this bad boy syndrome that you're talking about, but it's still, I think for most people sitting at home, it's just hard to really understand.
Well, again, I wouldn't necessarily say that these really extreme groupies are necessarily mentally ill, but I would say that there's something missing there, something that draws them to this, whether it's an emotional deficit, as I said, or something, you know, a personality disorder, where they literally, I think, have a hole inside of them emotionally, and they're looking to fill it up by this vicarious association. And if you think about it, somebody like Ted Bundy is the ultimate fixer-upper. You know, I've heard some of my female friends talk about they're attracted to fixer-uppers. Well, a serial killer or a convicted murderer is the ultimate fixer-upper. He's not going anywhere. You know where he is. And to the extent that you become his soulmate, then you are special by association. And I think that's a large part of what's going on here.
Yeah, and I guess to an extent, like you said, with social media, they can hide behind their computer. They can almost get close to the danger, but it's not actually dangerous for them, knowing that these men, you know, are likely in prison for the rest of their lives.
Exactly. They're not going anywhere. I don't have to worry about where he is. You know, I know his cell number, so he's not going anywhere. But you know, what you just mentioned, Bryan, is actually, I think, part of the appeal of true crime in general. It allows us to get close to the flame without getting actually burned. And with the groupies, they're taking it to an extreme. They're taking it to the point that they actually have a relationship, developing a relationship, even if it's only through the mail or on the telephone. But they're, you know, intimately involved with this individual. They're in their life, so they get that vicarious thrill that they're looking for, or the fulfillment that they're looking for.
It's so strange to think about. Obviously, a major distinction, because I know all sorts of true crime fans, and you know that's pretty normal these days to be interested in cases, and a lot of people genuinely want to help solve them, or they have, you know, genuine sorrow for the victims. But to take it to the next level, you know, the groupies, as they call it, or you know, the attraction to a serial killer, like you said, I mean, some of these folks may need serious help.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.